Thank you very much. Thank you. We spend most of our waking hours at work, and yet most people don't like the work. In fact, research around the world has shown that only 1 in 5 people are fully engaged in what they do. And what can we do about the fact that we're not happy at work? What can we do to become happier at work? Well, one thing we can do is change our job, find a different place to work. Now, for some people, that's realistic. For other people, it's not, for various reasons. First of all, it may not be an option. It may be that I have to keep my job or 3 jobs in order to provide for my family. I don't have the luxury of leaving. But even if I do have the luxury of leaving, I may not want to give up my lifestyle, the lifestyle that I'm enjoying thanks to the work that I'm doing. So I'm not happy, but at least my family, myself can enjoy the kind of life that I envisioned. And that's legitimate, it's fine. And then there are those who can leave their work, but they have left previous jobs so many times, and time again, they were disappointed, which leads them to realize that it's not about the external. It's much more about them and their inability to enjoy their work. So what do we do? What is left for us to do if leaving, changing our work will not solve the problem? What we need to do is change our perspective. And I want to give an extreme example of changing perspective, because if it applies in that domain, it certainly applies to our work. Viktor Frankl, in his seminal book, Man's Search for Meaning, wrote about Holocaust survivors. He wrote about Auschwitz inmates who spent years in the most difficult of circumstances, and yet they were able to find a ray of hope, of light in their predicament, not by changing their reality because they couldn't, but by changing their perspective. And he writes about them. When we're no longer able to change a situation, we're challenged to change ourselves. Now, if Viktor Frankl found that it was possible in these difficult circumstances, being in a concentration camp, well, then it's likely possible to do it in less extreme and difficult circumstances at work. And when it comes to work, the change in perspective comes in the form of recrafting through a study or a group of studies which were conducted on work orientation by Amy Wisniewski and Jane Dutton when they were at Michigan. What this research showed was people's work orientation can be divided into 3 groups. There are those employees in the workplace that see their work as a job. What's a job? It's something that I have to do. It's something that I have no choice about. It's something that I'm doing because I need the paycheck. What am I looking forward to? I'm looking forward to the end of the week, the weekend. I'm looking forward to the vacation, the end of the day. I have no choice, but I'm here and I'm doing it. It's a chore, it's a duty. But then there is another orientation toward work. There are people who see their work not as a job, but rather as a career. What are the characteristics of a career? It's all about getting to the next stage. I want this promotion. I want to get this raise. This is important for me. I'm in that race. I'm going to do better and better, grow more and more, become richer and richer. It's my career. It's important to me. And then there is a group of employees who see their work not as a job, nor as a career, but as a calling. For these people, their work is their purpose. This is the most important thing beyond perhaps their relationships that they can think of doing. It matters a great deal. In fact, they would do it anyway. Even if they weren't paid for it, they're glad they are, but they would do it anyway because they care about it, they love it. It's their passion. It provides them a sense of purpose and meaning. Now, needless to say, where we are, whether we see our work as a job or as a career or as a calling, matters a great deal. People who see their work as a calling are much more engaged, they're much happier at work and in life in general, They also perform a lot better. Story of a man who goes to visit in Italy, and he walks by a construction site, and he sees builders all over, and he goes to the first builder and he asks the builder, "What are you doing?" And the builder says to him, "I'm laying bricks." And then he goes to the second builder, who was not far from the first one, and he says, "What are you doing?" And the builder says, "I'm building a wall." And he continues walking in the construction site, and he sees a third builder, and he asks him, "What are you doing?" And the builder says, "I'm creating a cathedral to the glory of God." The same experience, very different interpretation that can make all the difference. And the question is, what choices can we make on a day-to-day basis? What choices can we make that can transform, change the form of our work, that can change our experiences? Let me mention a few that are taken from the research in this area. The first one is we can change activities. We can stay in the same work and yet do things that are more aligned with our values, that are more meaningful to us. For example, we can volunteer to organize the end of the year party if what we like is organizing. That may not be part of our job description, but it may provide a lot of happiness to us. We may choose to call up certain people who are role models for us and ask to work with them, spend more time with them. And the interesting thing is that we can make small changes to our work that can have a trickle effect on our overall experience. So it doesn't have to be radical transformation. Small changes make a big difference. Another thing that we can do is exercise our strength on a regular basis. So this is research done by Marty Seligman. What he did was he went to supermarkets and he asked the employees in the supermarket to do a strength test, a strength finder. And they identified their strength. And here's one example. So this is an example of a bagger, a woman who stands by the counter and puts the groceries into the bag of the customers. That's what she does day in and day out. Now, she saw her work as a job. Boring, not interesting, she had to do it. She took the strength finder, and her top strength was social intelligence, social relations. So she was asked to exercise her top strength on a daily basis. Specifically, what she had to do was interact with the customers and to make that experience, that interaction with her, the highlight of the day for at least 3 customers. That was her objective. That transformed her work because she started to focus on making those customers happy through her very brief interaction. Her focus changed, her perspective of what she does. She's not just a bagger putting groceries in all day. She's also a person who makes people happy.